So Jacqueline, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself first?
So I started writing probably over 55 years ago. Tried the traditional route, that didn't work. Self-published in 2011, while I was still living in Alaska. Moved back to Idaho after Alaska for 10 years and hooked up with you again when the Kindle Vella thing started I started that in October 23, and I think I got you started in January 2024.
Yeah.
And so we started collaborating on writing books together, and we've done 4. So these videos, we want to do 4 videos explaining the 4 books and our writing process for writing them and how we go about doing it.
Yeah. Now tell me just, real quickly, what other genres do you write?
So I started out with contemporary romance. I write strictly romance under Jacqueline Hopkins, but all other genres under J.R. Hopkins, okay, which is romantic suspense, I get. Well, no, maybe that's back under romance. There's nonfiction. I've got a cookbook and a couple other books. I write mysteries, murder mysteries. Published a psychological thriller that's a series. I guess that's just any other genre if I come up with. Goes under J.R. Hopkins.
All right. Well, I started writing 19 years ago when my child was born, my first and only child was born, and I decided, that I would start writing, and because I wanted to teach her, to live her dreams, go for your dreams. And I thought, well, if I don't go for my dreams and live for my dreams and, and strive for them, then how can I teach her? So I started writing. I started out in romance, did 2 romantic suspense. And from there, I've done multi-genre. I've always loved science fiction and fantasy. I like romance, books as well. But, I feel like when I really want to get lost into something, from this world, and just escape, and that's what books are good for, to escape reality for a little while and just get lost into your own little world. And when I do that, that's where I go first. That's the first 2 genres I jump into, is fantasy and science fiction. And
romance is probably your secondary to most everything that you write, where in mine a lot of mine are romance first. We were originally on Kindle Vella, as I said, and then Amazon decided to do away with that. Was a serialized platform, but they had only set it in the US and for readers and authors, so it didn't go nationwide. They shut it down in October 2024, decided they weren't going to do it anymore. They never advertised it. They didn't go wide with it and international. They didn't let anybody else join. So.
If you're looking for stories from us, you can look on Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
And Mighty Wolf, both on Amazon under your dashboard.
Yes, I've got Christmas on Canopus and Mighty Wolf on Amazon. But I also want to throw a plug in here for other sites besides Amazon. If, there are readers out there that doesn't read from Amazon. So I have another site that I use is D2D, and they publish to Apple, Barnes & Noble, just all kinds all kinds of different. So any of those sites that you like to buy your books from, I'm on there with most of my books now. As I finish them, I add them to Amazon, of course, but I also add them to D2D, and then D2D puts them on these other sites for me. So look for my books there. We are both at a site called Inkspire. If you'd like to see what we've got over there on Inkspire, that's not actually on Amazon or the other sites right now, because I'm not publishing, we're not publishing them until they're completed, on these other sites. But on Inkspire, you can catch them early and read them, in episodic forms. And I love that because, it's just a quick read. Like one episode is, from 1500. I go all the way up to 2000 sometimes. So,
words.
So I just want to give the reader, but anyway, there's different options how you can consume our product there. And then, like I said, you'll be the first to read those before they reach the other sites. Jacqueline and I got involved. We just kept coming up with creative ideas, and on and on and on. And it's been fun. And that's part of the fun of working with someone is you get to brainstorm. Like I'll throw her an idea out there and she'll say, well, that's terrible, and or work on it a little bit. That's not going to work, And so I like that, throwing back and forth and suggestion and and working details out and everything. And because when she started working on the Vanity, that's when the ideas about another universe came up. And I said, hey, or one of us said, hey, what if she goes off to another universe or whatever? And I said, hey, what if we make this person make them the ancestors of one of our main characters and tie that in, and that would be cool. And then we ended up creating a whole new civilization and a whole backstory for that. So we're working on worked on that too, and that's where Canopus come from. So
and so we Lisa lives in Mississippi and I live in Idaho. So in order to work together, we do a lot of phone calls. We do a lot of Facebook Messenger.
Yeah.
And really that's about it. But we, it's almost like we talk every day about, all right, are you going to write this chapter? Where are you going with it? Do you want to write this one in the next few?
Mm-hmm.
Write until you can, stop, and then hand it back over to me and I'll write. And we just go back and forth. So I don't know if that collaboration would work for everybody.
Yeah.
If you have an idea that you want to write with somebody, you just have to play around with it.
And the biggest advice I give you if you're going to work with somebody, there's a lot of give and take in there. So, I admit it. We had, we worked around a few things, and figured out, okay, this is going to have to, in order for this to work, we have to, give and take and stuff. And so we've learned, it's hard, when I've been writing for 19 years and she's been writing for many years. When we started getting together as collaboration, there was a lot of change, because you're not the only one in control anymore, and stuff.
Yeah.
So, there was a lot of give and take. So that when you work with someone, make sure it's someone that it's going to be cool and we can work together and stuff. And Jacqueline and I believe, we work really well together. And everything, and even on the books that we do not work together, she edits for me and I'll edit for her, and we'll throw out suggestions. I'm working on this very huge series and I'll say, hey, what do you think about this and that, and she'll throw me ideas out there and change some stuff and everything. And same with her, I give her suggestions she had a detective story, and I believe she's still I think you're going to do another story in that series, right?
Yes. Yeah. I think there's
so she, says, hey, what do you think about this? And I'll read it and give some tips and say, oh, why don't you try it this way? And she might try it that way and say, oh, I like that better. Or she's like, no, I don't like that. And, so we also work on our other stuff separate from each other and take advice from each other and do that. So I like that too.
We brainstorm when we need help, say I'm stuck, help me get out of this. So I've been creating also some swag that authors call to go give out with your books, and I created these little miniature books. Let's see if you can see them here. This is the cover to that Melee Last Hope, the first book we wrote in the Space World Collective, and these are small enough that they can be earrings. And I've got another author here. I've got a local authors group that I meet with, and she pours with resin. So I gave her a set of these little books, and she's going to try and pour them and see how we can make earrings out of them, because they're very lightweight.
Cool. Yeah. I don't wear earrings, but I bet you could.
I used to.
I bet you could, I'd make a charm, a charm or a necklace out of it.
Yeah. You could do that too.
That would be cool.
Actually, and if you write a lot of books, you could just make a necklace and string them all on there, all your books.
Yeah, or you could do tattoos, because I know somebody that does tattoos of their books, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
My problem is I'm afraid of needles. But my daughter she is 19 now, and she's going to be 20. And she says she wants to get a tattoo, and she talked me into getting a tattoo when she turns 21 or so, and us get one together. And I'm like,
You can start out and just get a little tiny one like I did. That was my first one at the age of 42.
yeah.
Just a
So
little tiny.
I laughed and said, "Can I get drunk?" No, you can't, because it messes up the blood or something.
No, a lot of people drink wine anyway. It's okay. Or you can also buy this numbing cream that my daughter and I use. There is a numbing cream.
Yeah. But anyway, can you show? You showed a little bit. Can you show all your tattoos of what you got? Or
I don't know if it'll show up here. It's all the books. Not all the books. It's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them so far, and I've got another arm over here, of course, to add all the others.
That is so cool. All right, it's been fun, and I look forward to next week. And for those of you who have joined us, we appreciate it, and we appreciate the love. Give us that thumbs up. Do a share. Let all your friends and family know that there's this exciting new channel here to entertain you. And it's all right. We'll see you next week.